Sup. After saving money to buy healthy food to lose weight didn't work, I just used the extra money to buy more junk food. I've pretty much just devolved into fantasizing like this. Look how skinny that thing is. I guess the only other option is to exercise. But hold on. If I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna need some real motivation. I mean, what's really motivating me to exercise? A healthy body, a healthy mind, more strength, more endurance. No. I need to get into something. I need to get into a media series, a video game.
Portal. I've always loved Portal. My favorite video game changes over time, but I think I've settled on my favorite video game being Portal 2. As a young person, I've grown up with the Portal games, and could gush about them for hours, to be honest. But that won't convince me to do a push-up, so instead, their relation to the highly regarded Half-Life series. I would always see the connections to the fictional company of Black Mesa in Portal 1 and 2, and just think, neat.
But that other people have somehow managed to steal from us. Black Mesa can eat my bankrupt...
Sir, the testing?
All I know of Half-Life is that there's a crowbar, there's this thing called a head crab, and Gmod is a mod of Half-Life 2.
But I think it's finally time I play these damn games, and it's really the only way to convince myself to do a squat jump, and I need to do a few.
Please pretend the year is 1996. Please. Two former Microsoft employees decide to form a video game company called Valve, and they immediately begin working on their first game, working title Quiver. It was to be a first-person shooter using the Gold Source engine, previously known for the game Quake, another of the classic first-person shooters that I've never played. Maybe sometime. After a first, somewhat finished version of Quiver was finished, the man himself, Gaben Newell, play-tested the whole game, and he said it sucked, so they pushed it back a while, and they paid from their own pockets to keep development going. So they did a hell of a lot and tried a ton of new different things that had never been done in video games before, much less first-person shooters before. So essentially the story goes as such. They made a mediocre first-person shooter game. Gabe said it was awful. So they changed a few things, made a few tweaks, and made arguably the most revolutionary video game of all time.
Yep, that's right. I watched the official Valve documentary on the first Half-Life. I recommend it. It's pretty good. I should probably just play Half-Life now.
Well, this is a decently old game, so it's probably for the best that I play through the training course first. It's actually really cool for a first-person shooter tutorial in the late 90s. We get to meet the hologram of a lady in a suit, and she's a big rabbit hole of a character for another time when we look at the Gearbox expansions for the original Half-Life. It's a pretty basic tutorial. Then, actual human NPCs that we can interact with. Which, funny story.
In the Portal games, I thought the reason there weren't very many, human models and it was just Chell, was because Valve didn't know how to make humans, look really good in the engine or something, or they just couldn't get to look right. Which,
Yeah, that was stupid. Most Valve games have human NPCs in their games. I'm an idiot. Oh, and since they gave me a gun to practice with, I had to try it. I'm surprised they actually let you kill them. Now I feel bad. But I was testing my limits, okay?
In fact, next week I plan on shooting myself in the head to see if I'm susceptible to gunfire. For all I know, I'm impervious to it. I've never been shot in the head before. Anything's possible.
The game demonstrates that although Gordon Freeman may have the will and gun skills of a Secret Service agent, he still has the leg strength of a paraplegic chihuahua. So we learn that receiving medical attention in the Half-Life universe is rave-worthy.
Your health will recover gradually until you are...
We learn that charging the HEV suit is not rave-worthy.
Individual
We learn to break boxes, move trains, what it feels like to get cancer. Are they allowed to do this? I also realized that I had the HD models turned on by accident, which was a little thing they made for the PS2 port. and the Dreamcast port, but it's the Dreamcast, so it never ended up actually happening. Then it was released in 2005 on Steam. Then finally, they just threw it into the actual game via an update in 2023 for the 25th anniversary. I don't think these models look terrible, but I'd rather just use the original models for this. They're more a topic for another time when we talk about Blue Shift and Decay, since those two expansions were made with the HD models in mind. But for now, I'm turning them off. Anyways, we should probably just start the actual game.
Okay, so fair warning, my first experience with this game is a complete mess. And about 95% of it's completely my fault.
The game opens up on a tram. We can look around, and at the time, I imagine this was a wonderful revolution in gaming. And you know what? It's still pretty neat to see the Black Mesa facility as we are carried past. We see different parts of the facility we never end up actually going to, some robotic machines that are never used in the rest of the main game for anything, and him. The government man, or the G-man. We'll get to him. But now's not the time for such a transgression of inquiries, for we're apparently half an hour late to work. We also see a security guard trying to get into this door here, which you can tell just by looking at him. He's definitely going to be a main character in Half-Life 2, and he's definitely going to be someone you play as in one of the Half-Life Gearbox expansions. We are Dr. Gordon Freeman, a 27-year-old Massachusetts Institute of Technology graduate with a degree in theoretical physics who's made a living as a research associate in the Black Mesa Anomalous Materials Laboratory. What an exhausting resume. This security guard tells me I'm 30 minutes late, and then he beeps at me.
I hate when my coworkers do that. They always scold me, then...
Hey, catch me later, I'll buy you a beer.
I walk into work and... Chapter 2, Anomalous Materials. Yeah, no, that tram ride was a whole chapter of the game in itself, so at this rate, the game is gonna last about an hour and a half. Like any trained professional, we wander around, acting like a mentally unwell individual, getting this guy into trouble, making everyone angry.
You were supposed to be in the test chamber half an hour ago.
You'll just have to wait until after the test.
Canonically blowing up some guy's casserole, etc. We are apparently to perform some sort of experiment, which would never cause anything bad. One of the series' most iconic moments, getting the Hazardous Environment suit, or the HEV suit.
I don't like when acronyms do that. It's like sonar. SO for sound, N for navigation, A for and R for ranging. Why does sound get 2 letters?
This moment is actually pretty cool, and we get a pretty sick beat to go along with it. Specifically a beat formed by a klaxon, whatever that means. Turns out it's some sort of loud horn.
You know what?
We make our way to the test chamber. Is that a pipe of lasers? It's not how that works, right? Like, that's not how lasers work. Things start to go wrong, and apparently the specimen that was originally going to be used for this experiment was swapped out for a more unstable one, so that's...
We in the world.
Well, not really Gordon, but just more like this whole operation was a terrible mistake. The thing explodes, we're teleported to a different dimension, we meet these guys, it's bad. Us scientists caused something called a resonance cascade. But I don't think anybody really knows what that means. The Half-Life wiki says that this crystal is made of a matter that is connected from Earth to the border world Zin, which we'll talk about in due time. And if this crystal is hit with a high amount of energy, it resonates, causing a destructive dimensional rift. From what I can tell, we forced this crystal to damn near destroy the quantum fields between Zin and Earth, and
This is all way above my pay grade. There's aliens, explosions, electricity. The story was an afterthought in the first place, so all you gotta know is that things are happening and they're bad.
So after that happens, we wake up and try to leave, but people are dead everywhere, and pretty fast too. I don't really know how long we were out, but the entire place is actively falling apart as we walk out of the test chamber, which once again, for the time period this game came out, this whole section is really cool. This whole portion of the game is something incredibly new and innovative for the time, and it still holds up pretty well today. We run into this pair of scientists from earlier, and this one specific scientist right here, ends up being one of the most important main characters in the later Half-Life games. just roll with it. He lets us through and tells us to go get help. I sure hope we'll definitely see him again sometime soon. We get our first look at the head crab, and its mouth is absolutely terrifying. Are those teeth? Why do they look so mechanical? And are those entrails? Though I will say, the sounds they make along with their eyes makes them also kinda cute in a weird way. Then, we get the Half-Life thing. The crowbar, the game's melee weapon. And honestly, trying to hit head crabs with this thing is not ideal. I wish it had a reticle or something, because you can get used to it, but it's really not the best to use for combat in this game, which is ironic, because on my first playthrough, I primarily used the crowbar until the end of Chapter 6.
Going into this game, I had no idea it was a shooter game. And I mostly blame that on clips I've seen of Gmod, because whenever I would see clips of Gmod, they were holding a crowbar, or the gravity gun from Half-Life 2, or that weird blue one, I think it's called the physics gun. And I never saw people use it as like a shooter game. So I went into this assuming that the crowbar was the thing, like it was your main tool for everything. And for some stupid reason, that was just ingrained in my brain as the thing I had to keep in mind.
You aren't going to see this in the footage a whole lot because I played the game twice, once on normal mode for the first time, and once on hard mode just to get footage for this episode. But it wasn't until I got the Magnum revolver that I started to catch on to the fact that, hey, they're giving me a lot of guns. So I looked it up. I looked it up online. Is Half-Life a shooter game? And the response I got was a resounding,
"Are you serious? Yeah, you idiot."
I thought I was really bad at the game if I had to rely on the guns to beat it. Like using them for shooting enemies was somehow the wrong thing to do. I feel so stupid. So I kinda ruined my initial experience of this game by using guns very, very sparingly. Not ideal, don't do that. It's okay, as soon as I got confirmation of my incompetence, I started blasting. Back to the beginning, we come across some fairly disturbing head crab zombies. You can see their skulls through the head crab, which is genuinely terrifying.
What the hell are these things? And why are they wearing science team uniforms?
I don't know, they want to be smart.
As you can see, the security guards can fight the enemies, and you can have them follow you around to help with combat and open doors and such. I never really did this. The amount of help they actually provide in battle is quite minimal in this specific game. So yeah, I just tried to keep them as safe as possible, away from danger. Along with the security guards being able to shoot, the scientists all have medical supplies that they'll give you if your health is below half. Speaking of the NPCs, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that during a lot of these times where an NPC is programmed to die, you can actually stop them from being killed. It doesn't really do anything, but it's cool that you can save some of your allies.
I hope that's what field medics say when they have to save someone in battle.
We make our way through some new areas, coming across numerous new enemy types. Hound eyes. It's kind of like a living pomegranate that can do this.
Which, to be fair, I don't remember the last time I've had a pomegranate, so for all I know, they could do that.
Bull squids. Yeah, I guess it's a giant bipedal leopard print squid thing that shoots acidic cotton balls? And Vortigaunts, a big can of worms. See these things around their necks and their wrists? Apparently they're shackles since they're alien slaves. However, on my first playthrough, I just thought that's how they kind of looked. I thought that was just part of their design. I didn't even know they were supposed to be sentient. Later, they'll be a lot bigger of a deal, but for now, they're just alien slaves that answer to some sort of entity, and they are a species of people. They shoot lightning and are pretty susceptible to the Glock, so not a huge deal combat-wise. Of course, unless you think you're supposed to beat them to death with a scientific nail remover, like I did on my first playthrough.
I will say, though, I do like their voice in this game quite a bit. I mean, I love their Half-Life 2 voice as well.
We are pleased that the Eli Vance thinks so highly of the Freeman.
But I do kind of miss the Half-Life 1 voices.
The last of these creatures for now is the barnacle, a giant meat mouth that uses its long tongue to pull things up and eat them. 2 to 5 shots with the Glock should do it, or if they're low to the ground, you can just let them grab you and smack them with a crowbar. Up to the office complex. Chill atmosphere, dead scientists, even deader head crabs, and the shotgun. The shotgun is our very first big boy weapon, and like I said, on my first playthrough, I still didn't use this very much until I realized this was a shooter game. Not only this, but throughout my entire first time playing this game, I never realized the shotgun had a double barrel shot with right-clicking.
So I was just a huge failure.
We get our first large helping of crawling through massive air vents, and damn! They keep throwing head crabs at me out of nowhere, and it's hard to dodge them. As I neared the end of this chapter on hard difficulty, I found myself running extremely low on ammo, which I guess would make sense. I was killing every enemy I could, and they do start to feel a bit bullet spongy on hard mode. The turrets start shooting at us. I don't really know why. Maybe somehow the military got a hold of them? But that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. And of course, because my first playthrough was terrible, I didn't know you could destroy them with bullets on my first playthrough. So I just tried to run past them or toss explosives at them. After making our way through the offices, we enter the next chapter entitled We've Got Hostiles. The military is here to save us.
Last, thank God.
Son of a like a pomegranate.
The military is here to kill everyone. Awesome. The Hazardous Environment Combat Unit, a fictional division of the US Marine Corps. Essentially, they're the primary firearm-wielding enemies in this game. I gotta tell you, as someone with first-hand experience, I don't think Valve wanted you to kill these guys with the crowbar. Also, they're how you obtain the MP5 with the attached grenade launcher. This whole section is when the game starts getting really hectic. Not necessarily in a bad way, just the introduction of enemies with grenades and submachine guns in a very close quarters combat is just gonna naturally be a very chaotic experience. Their behavior for the time was incredibly impressive. Running away when they're hurt and throwing grenades at fairly understandable times.
Sounds like a bad day at Walmart.
I killed 12 dumbass scientists and not one of them fought back. This sucks.
Now that sounds like a good day at Walmart.
We're introduced to trip mines and laser sensors that activate turrets. Pretty self-explanatory, but makes for an interesting section here. Then afterwards, I got stuck on this part here for over an hour on my first time. You're supposed to finagle your way past this fan down this ladder, but I just tried casually going down this ladder twice, died because ouch fan, then figured there was no way to get past the fans while they were still on, so I decided to go into the obvious vents around this room. These vents have a few supplies and numerous branching paths, but none of them take you where you need to go. Anyways, we eventually make it to a scientist that tells us we have to try and make it to the opposite side of the facility to a place called the Lambda Complex. Hey, this game's name and logo are actually starting to mean something. We go through the door to Blast Pit! There's a huge rocket silo with these giant terrible things only officially known as tentacles. Really? They kill some guys like any good Walmart shopper. The game shows us some grenades and tells us that the tentacles can hear us. And since the hazard course taught me that crouching is a sneaky action for the stealthiest of Gordon Freemans, I didn't have any real issue with this part. That being said, I didn't catch on to the fact that I was supposed to be getting power, fuel, and oxygen turned on. I honestly just saw these indicators on the wall and assumed they were just there to be background design, you know, part of the scenery. But considering the only way to go is one of the 2 directions in the fabled Blast Pit, I didn't actually get lost. There's a giant fan that blows us up to the ceiling. And here's a man worthy of his PhD.
It's my hiding spot, and I'm not moving until the situation is drastically improved. Now go away, and don't tell anyone I'm here.
Inspiring.
We destroy the tentacles with the rocket blast. In the pit. Blast Pit! Then we obtain the Colt Python, or more commonly known in Half-Life as the Magnum, which, as I previously stated, was the moment that I realized that they were willing to give me a second type of handgun, which clued me into the fact that maybe the guns weren't just meant for puzzles.
Yeah, they're meant for Walmart.
This gun is awesome, by the way. It does quite a bit of damage, and it can hold a fair amount of ammo in this specific game. Moving through a maze-like watery area, well, not a very hard maze, but it's a maze nonetheless.
I mean, technically every place on Earth can be considered a not very hard maze.
There's a big fire alien that is nearly an insta-kill if you get too close. This whole portion is actually a pretty fun section of the game. You have to go down to unclog and reset the generator, and considering this is my first time using a gun as my primary weapon, I was having a blast pit.
Blast pit!
After getting the power up and running, we zap the Gargantua to death, then we ride the rail out of this place into what many consider to be the worst chapter of Half-Life 1. On a rail. It's alright. I've seen people call this chapter a huge labyrinth, but...
What? There's like 3 paths, and 2 of them form very short loops back to the beginning, so you don't get lost. If there's one thing I do have a problem with this chapter, though, it's that it's kind of better to not be on the actual train for most of it.
There are many times in this chapter where hiding on the train is just putting yourself out into the open, and oftentimes the best thing you can do is just to let it go without you and walk along the walls. Just be careful not to electrocute yourself on the track, because it'll kill you. I will say, the satchels, which are this game's remotely detonated bombs, are something I rarely ever use for that exact purpose. I kinda just throw them out and blow them up instantly at close range, but hey, it works. Also, I got real mad here. At this box, you're supposed to jump and crouch mid-air to get on top of it. But on my first playthrough, I didn't know that crouching mid-air would make me jump higher. The game just told me to do that when I need to jump into a small space. It never tells you that it gives you more height in your jump. So I spent forever here not knowing what to do, and this was the first time I had to look up what to do in this game, because I didn't know you could get on top of this stupid box! We keep going down the rail, and this guy with a rocket.
Holy crap! If they kept using these things, Gordon would have probably canonically died in this game. Though I will say, this is probably the one part of the chapter where hiding on the train is actually pretty useful.
After we go through all this, we make it outside.
Was at Ground Zero. Science team? You think he was responsible? Sabotage, maybe? Yeah, maybe. All I know for sure is he's been killing my buddies. Oh yeah, he'll pay. He will definitely pay.
Guys, I'm sorry. We get our first sniper, and explosives are required to kill him. For some reason.
Oh. This room.
Now, this is a pretty manageable puzzle after having already played this game. But it definitely feels pretty archaic as an obstacle. Look at this. Stupid. We shoot a satellite rocket, which is a pretty memorable moment to be fair. Then we blow it up in the stupid room and have to do it all over again.
Look, on a second playthrough, I was having a lot of fun. On my first playthrough, I was getting pissed off.
The next chapter is pretty standard, but it introduces some important stuff. Let's talk about another misconception that I had in this game, that I've looked up so I know that I'm not alone. You walk into this room, and you see this guy being killed by a water creature. And so you go up to a room above the water, where this scientist is. This scientist says that he doesn't believe this species is native to Earth. Genius, by the way. Then he states,
There's a tranquilizer gun in the shark cage, but I'm not sure it would work on this species. You're welcome to try.
My brain immediately thought, okay, this is the weapon for this type of underwater creature. It's just a dart gun to tranquilize this shark thing.
Nowhere does it say that this crossbow is the series' main sniper weapon.
So on my first playthrough, I never used the crossbow for anything that wasn't the ichthyosaurs in the water. But when I played the game on hard mode, it was probably my most used gun. It's pretty satisfying to use and does quite a bit of damage. On normal mode, it's pretty lethal to most enemies, but not necessarily on hard mode. It also has a pretty slow bullet speed, so make sure the thing you're trying to shoot isn't moving around too much. Also, in terms of new enemies, this chapter introduces the Black Ops.
Make sure you don't...
I highly doubt that what he was gonna say was so important that you had to assassinate the poor bastard. These guys are kind of annoying. Cool, but annoying. On hard mode, they go completely invisible. So you better hope you have some trip mines left, or that you can somehow get the drop on them. They were kind of an afterthought in this game as far as I can tell, and they have more plot significance in Half-Life Opposing Force. But in this game, they only appear twice and don't overstay their welcome, so I can't really be too mad about them. They're kind of cool. I like that they're here. After this section, though, we get beaten up by 2 soldiers. They say they have orders to take us up for questioning, but like, they really want to kill us. So I guess they just decide to throw us in the trash compactor to dispose of our body.
Yeah, they should have just shot us first. I don't know what that was about.
Now we have to get our supplies back. All of them. Starting with the crowbar again. Also, there's the security guard that's supposed to be killed by barnacles, but if you just go up and talk to the guy, he just doesn't get killed, which is nice. I'm glad that he lives. But the game expects you to take his gun when he dies. So you'll see in the footage, I played a good portion of this game without a Glock. A new shorter chapter starts that is essentially just a bunch of jumping sections, and I got stuck on this conveyor room my first time through for a while until I found the trip mine in the hole. A bunch of water sections and hazardous waste and stuff, but we slowly gain our arsenal back as we go. Except the Glock. You're lucky, dude.
So by this point in my original playthrough, I was having a rough time. I was getting frustrated by things, I was getting annoyed by things, all just little things, and they kept adding up, and it just wouldn't stop.
Moving on, we find the next chapter, Questionable Ethics. We're tasked with going through a secret part of the facility where they've already been studying these stupid aliens for quite a while, so they knew what we were up against, and whatever. And a new enemy with a hand that shoots some sort of living homing bullet things. Bugs. I don't know. We get a new weapon. The snarks. You can throw them to attack or distract enemies, but they usually just make a beeline to kill you instead, so they're kind of cool, but I mean, they're not like the most useful thing. Also, the Tau Cannon, an experimental zappy gun.
I walked right past it in my first playthrough. I just completely missed it.
Which turned out to be a huge mistake because the next chapter starts with a giant helicopter. This thing was miserable. And I'm gonna be honest, while going through this game a second time was a ton of fun, my first playthrough,
I think this chapter was my breaking point.
This helicopter killed me so many times! After this dam section, you make your way to the desert. There are mines, tentacles, the helicopter, a bunch of optional routes that didn't seem optional at first, so I got lost for a while and it was pretty bad. Then, Valve. Yeah, the Valve theme song is directly from this moment in the original Half-Life, which is pretty cool. And this reveal of the cliffside is actually pretty cool anyways. We get rocket-propelled grenades. Awesome. I also didn't know that you could guide the rockets with the laser. I kinda just thought they were inaccurate because of the time this game came out. But nope, you can toggle on the laser guide and steer the rockets. I didn't know that, and I'll tell you right now, not realizing it in this game really messed me up for Half-Life 2. We keep going and just a lot happens in this chapter. Explosions, destroyed buildings, a lot of soldiers and aliens. We come across a room that eventually becomes kind of a trope for the Half-Life series. The exploding room, filled with explosives and mines and sensors and stuff, where one single wrong move is gonna blow up the entire area. After that, we get the hive hand, that weapon thing that the alien grunts use to shoot you. It has infinite ammo, so that's kinda cool, but it's also not the best gun in the world. It can be useful in the pinch, though. Eventually, the soldiers decide they're gonna pull out of Black Mesa, leaving behind anyone who's not next to a helicopter. We also get to use this map to control some airstrikes and kill another Gargantua, which is also a pretty memorable part of the game. Then the next chapter, Forget About Freeman. The soldiers decide it's really time to hightail it out of there, because guess what? The world's ending.
Forget about Freeman! We are cutting our losses and pulling out! Anyone left down there now is on his own! Repeat, if you weren't already, you are now!
Not a big fan of these snark nests, though. They're pretty annoying to deal with, and I mean, that's it. They're just really annoying. This chapter is pretty standard, but it leads right into the final chapter on Earth, Lambda Core. We have to reset some pumps and stuff and make our way to the teleportation labs. Neat. The Man of Government.
I think I should briefly suggest that you shouldn't play this game on hard mode. And not that it's bad, it's still Half-Life. It's just that the combat feels way more natural on normal mode. And just a little bit more fun.
In the midst of all that, we get the Gluon gun, the last and definitely most powerful gun in the entire game. It eats ammo fast, but it's pretty powerful and it looks really cool to use. After seeing some portals that the team's been creating and studying, we then have to use them to travel up the Lambda reactor core. I didn't know you had to look up in order to time your teleports, so I spent like half an hour here on this small section. Anyways, we make it to the top and find the group that's been hiding here. The scientists tell us that we have to go to the border world to stop a super dangerous creature that has been holding open the portal to Earth to let aliens through. We get a huge restock on everything, and we finally get our rocket jump. The thing they taught me how to use in the tutorial level. I'm gonna be honest, by this point, I kinda figured I'd missed it somewhere, kinda like I did with the Tau cannon. Then we're taken to this machine where we have to protect this scientist from the last new smaller enemy in the game, the Flying Alien Controller. Yeah, these things don't have a real species name, so... In normal mode, the MP5 or Magnum does the trick, but on hard mode, I kinda found that just distracting them as best as I could was more useful than trying to dispose of all of them really quickly. The portal opens and we jump through.
Welcome to a really cool part of the game that definitely feels like it was underdeveloped, and the developers said as much.
There's a lot of stuff, especially in Zen, where you're getting close to a first draft of some things, right? Because we just didn't have time, and we got to the end of the game, and so we considered not going to Zen, but the art concepts people did were so cool.
They basically said that the entirety of all the Zen sections of this game were basically as close to first drafts as they could have been for the final product. And I think you can tell.
The entirety of the chapter entitled Zen is only a few minutes long. It's also really empty. You climb down here, you go through a hole in the wall, you press these things, and go through the portal, and that's it. Though we do get to see other people in HEV suits that have perished in this place, which means that we've been studying this place for quite a while now. And the game introduces little pools of water that slowly heals you if you stand inside of it. Now we get to Gonarch's lair.
Hey look, we can talk about male genitalia all day long. But I'm not gonna pretend like it's kinda like a ball sack. No. That is probably the most accurate depiction of testicles I've ever seen in a game.
This is the thing that creates head crabs. Basically, you destroy its sac and avoid its charges. Don't forget the babies. This entire boss fight broke for me on my first time through. There's a glitch where the Gonarch can get stuck on its transition from Phase 2 to Phase 3. And I spent 2 hours trying to figure out what to do. Then I looked it up, found out the game wasn't working right, tried reloading various different saves and redoing the Zen chapter a few times. Then when the glitch still kept happening, I looked up if there was a way to at least beat the game like this, and lo and behold, you have to glitch your way behind the stuck Gonarch and throw a bunch of mines and satchels in this one specific corner of this room to reveal a portal you can jump through.
Once again, this whole ordeal was not fun in a game I was already getting really frustrated with.
Moving on to the second to last chapter of the game, Interloper. We start off on this floating island, then we have to rocket jump onto these flying alien creatures. This jump is also miserable. Like even on a second playthrough, I really don't like this jump. After going through another portal, we end up in an alien industrial section. I didn't know this on a first playthrough, but in the very first industrial room, the Vortigaunts here are actually passive unless you attack them.
Granted, I had no idea of this, and I just started blasting them into a pit.
Blast pit! But it is a cool touch to add a little bit of storytelling here. It doesn't last long, though. These barrel things have alien grunts inside of them, which I don't think I ever came across in my first playthrough. Then after a bit of traveling around and being pestered by the stupid flying guys, we make it to the big red portal in the void. There are voices from earlier in the game echoing out of it. One step inside the portal leads us to this guy. The Nihilanth, I think that's how you say that. This is the creature that was holding open the portal to Earth. This is the final boss fight. He looks gnarly, with a stitched-on third arm and mechanical parts inside of him. He has some lines in the game that imply that he himself is a slave, and that he is the last of his species.
Last
I am the last.
But for the most part, he's kind of just a mystery. In terms of the actual boss fight, he shoots lightning balls and portals that take you to other little areas.
This one stupid part, I didn't really have a whole lot of problem with jumping in the game or like doing any sort of parkour, but this one stupid room, I can't do. I still can't do. I still have so much trouble with this stupid room, and I don't know.
I spend the majority of my time when I play this boss fight in this room, and considering there are respawning flying jackholes shooting at me constantly, I hate this section. I know it's probably just that I suck, but I keep getting stuck on the edges of the platforms and falling or accidentally sliding off. And one wrong move, and you have to start the whole thing over. There are 2 other sections that the Nihilanth can teleport you to after this. Each of these sections has supplies to help you restock if you run out of ammo and such. But if you can, try to avoid being teleported by having his portals hit those rocks at all costs. Though, through being teleported, I learned that you can actually just kill the gargantuas like regular enemies, which I found incredibly interesting. Also, dead HEV users everywhere, which I think is a testament to Gordon Freeman. I hear a lot of people say that Gordon only succeeds at anything in these games because he has the HEV suit. But I think that's a load of bull. Not only can you spend a good portion of the game without any power for your suit, but to be able to single-handedly make it this far when so many others with HEV suits didn't, especially since it's implied that he's not even wearing a helmet, this man is a wonder. Gordon Freeman is a scientist with a PhD in theoretical physics from MIT, and yet he's been single-handedly taking on alien monsters, alien overlords, a large group of US Marines tasked specifically with killing him, and US Black Ops, all with some guns and a bit of armor that just takes in some of the damage he receives. That's no small feat, man. Anyways, we shoot this guy's yellow crystals, then we blast the inside of his head.
Blast pit!
He does this. And we win! Suddenly, the G-Man, who has been following us throughout the entire game, finally confronts us. Takes our weapons, tells us that we helped him take over Zen, offers us a job to his employers, and threatens to kill us if we say no. And let me say, this ending almost made up for the utter exhaustion and frustration that I was feeling towards this game on my first playthrough.
That's why I'm here, Mr. Freeman. I have recommended your services to my employers, and they have authorized me to offer you a job. They agree with me that you have limitless potential.
The G-Man is weird and unnatural, yet really fun and interesting to listen to. And he really did get me excited for the next game. We are hired and roll credits.
So, Half-Life. Looking back on it, I love it. But for my first playthrough, it was a huge mix between this is really cool and I'm so tired of this and I just want to get this over with, please let it end. You know that feeling, or you know that thing people say where they say if they could go back in time and re-experience something, or if they could delete their memories of a piece of media so they could re-experience it, they would do that? I have the opposite of that for the original Half-Life.
Was it an incredible revolution for video games at the time? Absolutely. Is this game fun to play? For the most part, yeah. But it has its moments of, I really don't want to do this right now. There's a PS2 version that includes a 2-player expansion for another time. There's Half-Life Source. It's Half-Life, but with small changes and running in the Source engine. Don't play this version, it's pretty crappy. This game also has online servers you can join. Let's try a few. I clicked on this one here, and I'm pretty sure it started copying the entirety of the internet to my computer. I tried this one.
Multi-kill.
There are new weapons and sound effects, and I played as Ivan the Space Biker, who was an early version of Gordon Freeman. I have no idea what's happening, but I'm not very good at it. I tried a few other servers, and they have a very nostalgic vibe to them. They kind of feel like barely surviving remnants of a time long past, you know? I'm just surprised that there are still people playing this game at all online.
So that's pretty much it for the first Half-Life game. Now the question remains, did it convince me to do a workout? Fine.